is 6:30. We'll call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Kelly.
Mr. Hazelhurst?
Here.
Mr. Haverly?
Present.
Mr. Kinzer?
Here.
Mrs. Maxey?
Here.
Mr. Boone?
Here.
Mr. Mulholland?
Here.
Mr. Rudy?
Thank you, Kelly. Do we have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Maxey, a second by Moon. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Kelly.
Mr. Hazelhurst?
Yes.
Mr. Haverly?
Yes.
Mr. Kinzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Mulholland?
Yes.
We have no audience to visitors tonight, so we will move on to the treasurer's report.
It's as presented. In the back of the treasurer's report is the PMA, a copy of the PMA investments. I know we talked about last month, those maturities, and that's why I put all three accounts in there for you guys if you have any questions.
But we had a signed version of November 2.
Yes, of November and December.
Do we have a motion for the approval of the treasurer's report?
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Do we have a
Second.
Motion by Maxey and a second by Kinzer. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Kelly.
Mr. Haverly?
Yes.
Mr. Kinzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Mulholland?
Yes.
Mr. Hazelhurst?
Yes.
Motion passes. And that takes us to item 6, superintendent's report.
Yeah, let me first start out with, you'll notice we put bulletin boards behind us. There's one for each of our schools. We've asked each of our principals to display some of their work. So we've got that up there, and we're going to change that out every month, so our walls don't look so plain back there. We've got a little decoration behind it. Next month, hopefully, we'll have a calendar for the board to vote on for next school year. We're waiting for a few clarifications from the state of Illinois with the new governor change and some of the law changes. They made a tiny calendar change in it that they didn't foresee having implications like it has on the student day and some of the bargaining agreements. So they're going back to meet. Hopefully next week they'll have clarifications of how that'll work. So hopefully then in February I'll have something for you guys to vote on. But for the most part, we've got our rough drafts put together and ready to go. Our snow day, which was that yesterday? Or, that was our second snow day. So we have a makeup day, one on the Monday after Easter. This will push us back into one more extra day now after Memorial Day. So we've got 2 days to make up at this point. And this morning I was at the Kishwaukee Regional IASA meeting. Got a chance to hear President Brent Clark speak from IASA. He was talking specifically about the new politics that are taking place down in Springfield. We are expecting to have a new state superintendent of education. We're also talking and hearing that there's a possibility that they will be bringing the pre-K grants back, as well as capital improvement grants. So we want to be ready to move forward with any of our projects there, or especially the pre-K programming if we can, when they do, hopefully they do agree in factory and state those. So that is all I have.
All right, thank you. Committee reports.
Policy committee meeting, we met last Wednesday, and the committee agreed to most of the changes. A few things, we retained some of our wording in a few of the policies. As far as 5220, we're going to keep the long-term substitute rate the way we had it. And for the eye health dental exams, we're going to leave that on the first day of school. Policy 7270, we're going to table that one. Mrs. Sager needs to get some clarification on some administering of asthma medication and liabilities. Otherwise, we are going to take the class and go forward with that.
we'll bring those to you in the February meeting for first reading.
If anybody would like to watch that, that was the first of our recorded
Yes.
committee meetings.
First time recording committee meetings, it was very exciting.
Beverage and some popcorn. Thank you, Mary. How about business services?
Nothing to report.
Okay. And facility and long-range planning committee.
We met on the 16th also. We went over some of last year's projects, and then we went over a few of the larger projects this year. And as you see on the agenda later under new business, we made an agreement to put out for a design the roof on Manchester and the sewer lines at Poplar Grove. And with the roof on Manchester, that will be our last roof for a while. So we're finally through our roofs and they come again.
Good deal.
Thank you, Tom. I was just looking at, all those meetings are on the live stream, under the live stream page. Is that right? Facilities there, yes it is. So those are there on the live stream website. Thank you, Tom. And CIA, I don't believe they met, did
We
they?
did not meet.
All right. Are there any plans for any of the committees?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Thank
As
you.
needed.
Thank you, folks. Next, we come to the consent agenda. Now, when I was at the III meeting, one of the sessions that I sat in reminded me that I am to read each of the items on the consent agenda and make sure that they've been read aloud, and that to let everybody know that that's what we're approving. So that's why I'll be reading off the list as I ask for a motion. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda, including minutes of the regular meeting of December 18th, personnel, acceptance of audit proposal, overnight field trip request at the high school music program, board conference expenses, and Group 8 program requests from Manchester Elementary? We have a motion.
Make a motion to approve that consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mary.
A second.
All right, we have a motion by Maxey and a second by Hazel Horst. Roll call, please, Kelly.
Mr. Kinzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mahal?
Yes.
Mr. Hazelhurst?
Yes.
Mr. Beverly?
Yes. Motion passes. That brings us to unfinished business, the long-term technology plan.
Yeah, this was something that we had on the docket last time, and we were asked to push it over to the January meeting. We have put together this long-term tech plan for presentation to the board. It has been a creation of many stakeholders. We've run it by principals, teachers, other staff members as well. We have broken it up into two segments. The first segment really is informational and data about the business functions that we have, and I'm going to let Melissa start us off and lead us with that. And then the second portion that I've worked together with the administrators and teachers on, it talks about some of the instructional pieces that would come with our instructional plan. And then it's more of a discussion item for tonight. At the end, if you'd like discussion and questions, we've got time for that too. So I'll turn it over to Melissa at this point.
Okay, so I'm gonna see if this is actually, I'm not sure if this is gonna drive it or not. So one of the things that we took into account when we were doing this was our mission statement, so that's up there, I won't read that to you guys, but that was something that we kind of kept referring back to as we were creating our technology plan. These are the technology beliefs that we came up as a group: enhance student achievement, promote student engagement, support instructional goals, support teaching strategies, support administrative business, data and reporting functions, enhance all district communication, and prepare students to be successful post-high school through technical fluency. So those were some of the main goals that we looked at and beliefs when we were creating the plan. So this is the business department and the administrative technology that mostly happens at the district-wide level here. So the first thing is the student information system, or ASSIST system that we call it. This is through Illinois State Board of Education. They request certain data, and that's what the ASSIST system is for. Is that's how they gather the data from us.
Regular uploads weekly.
Yes. Every student in the district has a SIS number, we call it, and it's individual to them, and that's how they get that information for what's going on. As you can see, the SIS system is at the top here. Then we have a system analyst at the district, and then there's our power school there in the middle, and then everybody. So kind of how it flows in the district is related service staff, teachers, office administration all have access to power school. Power School has our information, and then that information is further defined by our system analyst to the State Board of Education. So that's kind of how it flows here at the district office as far as that system, which is why Power School is so important, is because it talks to our state SIS system to get information. Our state information system at the top, Power School, and then we've got some programs that flow into Power School. One is School Messenger, which sends out information to parents. Another one is Meals Plus, that is our food service, and then eFunds goes into Meals Plus. We have Embrace, which is our special education software, and then we have VersaTrans, which is our transportation system, and those all speak to Power School or integrated into Power School. We were asked to get some more information on each of these, and so I won't read it through all of these, but this is just more information about each of those programs and their website. So if you had questions or wanted more information, you can find those out. So there's School Messenger, Meals Plus, Embrace IEP, and VersaTran, and eFunds. Our financial software is Decision Systems for the district. It has an accounting leg of it, and it has a payroll leg of it. This is a standalone. It doesn't talk to any of our other systems just because of the data that's kept inside of it. It's not something that I want lots of people in for security and all that kind of stuff. So it's a standalone system. And then our human resources system is Frontline Education. ASAP is, well, they've renamed them now, but ASAP is our online absence management where the teachers can go in from home and say, I'm sick today, and then it calls subs for us. So it's this automated process. And then AppleTrack is for online application for employment. And then this is a link for other programs that Power School speaks to. I know that was a conversation when we were looking at registration, was what else is out there. There's information on there. I'm looking right now for our registration fees, to collect registration fees, and I'm using the companies that are on this list that work with Power School. So if you're interested in who else Power School pairs with, that's that link there. We have communication set up in the district from some of these things. Internally, we have the Share, which Jerry does, which are ed tech, and it gives teachers ideas and new things coming out. We have distribution email groups, and we also have our Google platform, which we can do lots of stuff with Google Shares and slides and all that kind of stuff. And then externally with the public, we have a bunch of different ways that we communicate. So some of it is through technology such as email blast, Twitter, all of the social media. We also do a district newsletter, there's different communication systems. Sometimes we even put stuff in the paper that's also in Twitter and stuff. So we're trying to reach lots of different people through different ways. Seesaw, Class Dojo, lots of things that teachers are doing as well as district staff. Any questions on the business side?
I do.
Yeah.
Actually, Melissa, as I'm watching that, how much of that is new and how much of that is just a great visual bringing it all together? I'm just curious.
The district, the business side, like the decision systems and all of that's been here since I've been here. So none of that is new.
AppleTrack and ASAP and all.
Yep.
Okay.
AppleTrack and ASAP has a new name, but it's the same program. Decision Systems was here when I got here. So really the only thing on the business side that we've added is the registration, and that's already with Power School. So nothing else has been.
And everything's already been synced and
Yeah,
been
and
working,
everything's
communicating.
working
Great.
beautifully. on
Yeah,
the
that was
business
more
side.
informational to see how it all kind of tied together.
That's great.
How long have we had VersaTrans?
I think we've had VersaTrans.
It's been about
3, maybe?
3, 4 years. I was here when I got here.
And the goal at the end of the year, by the end of the year, is that will be up and running and utilized more.
That's where I was going
Yep.
with it, because your slide says that you're gonna bring it online in 2019. How long have we owned it before?
This would be year
before
4.
we decided to use it?
And we just haven't used it the way we've needed to.
Mhm.
That needs to get there.
What's the issue with it?
It's time consuming to set up. We've needed some support and some extra training with setup. And that's kind of where Melissa is going to jump in and help with more of the support to have that set up with the technology side of it.
So does the issue that our E911 maps don't match addresses going to affect it when you bring it online?
That's where one of the things you're going to have to do is that when you do that, then you have to look at it manually and say, this is not, needs to be tweaked and this needs to be tweaked. And so some of it is when you're in a crunch trying to get, your registration happens and then you have to send out transportation. Sometimes there's not that time. And so I think that's why we've been doing the Google the way we've done it. And so the hope is that this summer, with the shift in the registration, we can get VersaTran kind of lined up there. So there's a little extra time to get those routes in there. So
So it took us 3 years to do what you have now. So how will it be online in 2019?
Well, my hope is that now registration is happening online, so we'll be registering. Oh,
I'm talking strictly virtual things. It took us 3 years to fix the E911 maps that are currently in the town
okay.
routing software, because they're in that bad a shape
Okay.
in the county. So
Mhm.
we know that that's a lag time. Have we been working to fix those maps all this time so we can bring it online in 2019? Or are we gonna just assume that somehow they magically got fixed?
I will look into that. That's my from what I know that was fixed, but that I can't 100% guarantee, so I will look into it for you. Any other questions?
Do you want to click for me?
Sure.
So I'm going to talk about the instructional side and how technology impacts instruction. So some of the benefits of technology are it accelerates, amplifies, expands the impact of effective teaching practices. It increases our access to learning opportunities for all students, differentiation. That could be enrichment, that could be some of our struggling students too. It bridges inequities among students, which is MTSS, the multi-tier system of support. Provides all learners with online access and better learning opportunities and various options. Increases the level of engagement of students' empowerment and participations. For the curriculum side, ELA has access to a variety of texts. Math and science both asked me to specifically put this one on here. There's an online curriculum that includes differentiation and support resources at home. Science has the exact same thing, and we asked Kelly Townsend and Eileen Moran to come in and show some of that at our last meeting there. Social studies, global learning, and virtual field trips, many more opportunities and benefits for digital learning across all of our curricular areas. Just a variety of options. For instruction, it supports individualized instruction for differentiation, which I referred to once. On the assessment side, assessment data can be readily available. It does scoring quicker, exit slip, Schoology, Mastery Manager help with some of that stuff, instant feedback, and driving instruction help a teacher work smarter and not harder. Map access and park assessment windows are shortened, increasing instructional time. That has been one thing we've talked a lot about, is the scheduling that goes in when we are looking to take our park tests, and especially our map tests. So, for the curriculum, instruction, and assessment, it provides opportunities for all of our schools to use digital and online assessment system that provides students and teachers with real-time feedback in ways that increase the rate and depth of learning. And then enable data-informed instructional decision-making, which we talked about trying to grow that use and impact, have that impact on the classroom. And evidence of digital and online assessments, diagnostic, formative, adaptive, and summative, which is the direction we need to keep working towards. Some of the cons for having the devices: screen time, obviously, time and resources for adequate professional development. We do need to make professional development a piece of this. Finances, there's cost with it. Reliance on technology, inappropriate use by students, and it could increase the need for tech support. With some of our plans here, we're not anticipating it, but depending on technology and how it changes over time, you never know. More support could be needed. Pros for having the devices. Areas are well suited for technology use are writing, research, assistive technology, technology-based interventions, multimedia and creative applications. Device ability does not impede instruction and lesson planning during the assessment windows for park, map, and access, etc. We'd have more devices and more access to be able to take that. One of the other things that it would do is it does free up administration to focus more on being an instructional leader, as opposed to spending a large amount of time on the management and coordinating of testings and schedules. These next couple slides here we put in just so that you have an idea of the current hardware that we have in each of our buildings, and that's a link that Jerry has up on our website that you'd be able to go to, and also the software side of things. We've got Schoology here. That's one of our learning management systems. That's more information regarding on that, so that's another information one. HMH Math is what we just adopted, 6 through 12. So there's a link that shows you our HMH math stuff. And there's an error there. It says 5 through 12. It should be 6 through 12. Career cruising is used at our high school. Jamie, does middle school use career cruising too?
This is the first year.
Good, good. We did do a teacher survey, and we are in the process right now of surveying parents and students. And we had 98 of our teachers that responded. 47 of them currently use them every day. 25% use computers at least weekly. And the primary use is for research, peer collaboration, testing, multimedia projects, and reviewing instructional content. When I've asked about teachers about going to one-to-one, a lot of talk has been with the impression of one-to-one at grades 5 through 12. But in grades K through 4, not as much about being one-to-one as maybe more of a 2-to-1 model, because they still valued some of the interaction and some of the direct instruction time that they had at the elementary levels. What I have heard informally from the teacher from the teachers around the districts is they would use more devices if they had more. Sometimes they feel like they have to go through scheduling and reserving them well in advance for lessons that they want to use. But there are times where they would sign up and use the devices more than what they currently do. And a lot of our new subject resources are all coming with tech supports available and differentiation for many of our resources that we're purchasing right now too. So what is our current status? Currently, right now, we're at about a 2-to-1 ratio at the high school. We have 2 computer labs. We have approximately 270 devices. And by that, I'm talking about the laptops that are available in the building. Middle school is 1-to-1. We have approximately 250 devices there and 1 computer lab there. UE is about 2.5 devices to 1. Approximately 150 devices, they have a computer lab. Capron's 2-to-1. They have approximately 75 devices. Maybe they're a hair under. Manchester 2.2-to-1, approximately 75 devices. Poplar Grove has 90 devices, and Poplar Grove is my school that is tight, that really could benefit from some more devices. They tend to use the entire park window and the entire map window to circulate and rotate everybody through to get their testing done, which then takes up devices not available for other classes. So, planning for the future. As I said, in our conversations and when we talked about what would be ultimate if you were kings for the day, this is what we heard. Being at least 2-to-1 in all of our elementary schools, being at least 1-to-1 in grades 5th through 12. And in there, professional development would need to be planned every year for beginners, refreshing, and advanced training as we grow and try to maximize the use of some of those devices in the classroom. So the idea behind it is growing student devices. Devices needed to achieve those goals. High school, you would need approximately, to be 1-to-1, you'd need about 550, which would be an increase of almost 280. Middle school, nothing. They are 1-to-1. UE is 275 total is what they'd need, so they'd need to grow about 125. Capron would need to grow about 15. Manchester would need to grow about 15. Poplar Grove would need to grow about 60 if you were to look to do a 2-to-1 ratio at the elementary schools. That does not include any of the older classroom stations or devices, so you'd also want to look at doing some refresh things too as devices hit their age. So phasing in, year 1 and 4, approximately 400 new devices would be distributed across the district for approximately $100,000. A total of 500 new devices is needed to reach that goal. Includes new devices as well as refreshing older devices, and we would need to make sure that we kept a placeholder for PD budgeted each year. Currently, right now, we do have a placeholder roughly about $100. I want to say what's that?
100,000.
Did I say $100? Yeah, a little more than $100.
We're on with that number.
Yeah, 100,000. Let's see, 2 years ago, we spent 50,000. Let's see, well, 3 years ago, 50,000. Last year was 60,000, or it's 1 year ago was 60,000, and then this previous summer I think we just had a bigger, larger one where we spent about was it 120?
Was it 90? I thought it was 90 or something.
Was it 90?
That was 90.
But each year, we've always kind of had a placeholder in there of about $100,000, whether it's spent to grow some devices or even to refresh some of our old desktop models that are anywhere from 6 to 8 to 9 years old. Just we have to have a placeholder in there to refresh too. So that kind of gives you an idea of what it would look like to phase in. If you look to do a classroom cart of Chromebooks, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry, we've kind of talked about it being $7,000 to $8,000 by the time you have them fully dressed and programmed and whatever the other little extras that you need with it, and that'd be for a classroom set of 30, and it would get us about 30. So, and at that point, I'll turn it over to you guys for questions, thoughts. I'm not asking for a vote on it. More to you to kind of talk about it, discuss, ask questions about that thought and those thoughts and processes moving forward.
So I'm somewhat confused. I thought we were heading down a different path. I mean, we had an audit done that didn't necessarily show us that we were ready to be adding technology to classrooms. I know that we've got some other work to do, but I really thought that we'd put all that work in front of us to get ready to do this. Did I miss something?
No, I mean, we've still got curriculum work to do, like what you're talking about. And it's still a piece of, that's still a component of what we're looking to do too.
Before we did this, wouldn't it make sense to immerse the teachers in the technology first for a year or two, so that they're ready to roll it out for the kids? Before we did this, wouldn't we have an internal assessment tool that we could assess on every Friday so that we could get the most value out of our technology? Before we did this, wouldn't we change the culture? I mean, how are we going to get the parents that this has been a really bad experience on our side, so that this is a winning deal from day one? I mean, if I'm going to go down this path, I don't mind going all in, but it seems to me that there's a whole lot of other steps that need to take place before we get a vote for $100,000 for devices. And I guess I thought that other path is where we were heading, but I mean, I guess maybe that's just my perception.
We definitely had training put in this plan for the teachers, the new teachers that would be getting the devices.
So why would we invest in devices and then train the teachers when the kids were in front of them? Why wouldn't we do that the year?
It'd be like
for
like
the
right
entire
before
year?
summer.
Pardon?
It'd be a before summer type thing, and then they would have all
I haven't
summer.
ran into any school districts area that said that they can have teachers ready to use this to the maximum benefit over a summer. Have you?
A lot of them jump right in.
Which ones?
I could get back to you on that. But
I'm just saying.
I mean, which ones have you talked to?
I know when we-
The big ones have this as part of a plan. I really do want this to succeed, but, the teachers need to be on board with it first, the administrators do. How many of them are using Chromebooks today?
Teachers and administrators.
Yeah.
We have one right here. I'd probably
I mean,
spread out.
everybody should be there, right?
Eventually, yeah. But there's one thing that's keeping our teachers from having it as their full-time device, and we could still give them a device.
And the
to
different
practice on.
curriculum groups have developed internal assessments so that on every Friday they can see whether we're making benchmarks. They have? And we were
I
told
don't
we
think
didn't
so.
have any internal assessment stuff ready to go at all.
No.
No, but I know a lot of our teachers, well, I know at the, more that middle level, they use their own classroom kind of assessments and do those online and things like that. But I think what Jerry was kind of referring to when talking about some of the training, because I've been a part in another school district, they did some summer training so that teachers had time to develop some of the things online and think about, okay, what kind of things would I want to do with my classroom to help engage them, such as learning some of the video software so the kids can create their own, even a video book report, basically, and doing some of those other things like that.
The training I had
My
planned.
anticipation was that we would have this all in front of the teachers, that we'd have the internal assessment tools, that, we'd have the curriculum stuff where we wanted it. I can't talk about that right now, but it seems to me that would all be the things that we would have in place first, so that the teachers would understand, not be trained, so that 6 months down the road, they understand when they give an internal assessment, what the data is telling them and what modifications they need to make for their classroom on the following Monday. My anticipation is that this gives us a snapshot on Friday, so that Monday we can make adjustments to the classroom to move the district forward academically. And if we're not going to do that, I'm going to jumping off this ship.
And now you're talking where I understand where you're coming from, and I think that's where I'm at, but I think you're a step farther than where this is back at, because I don't know that I've heard the board say to me that they're ready to move forward with one-to-one. I haven't heard that at all.
Well,
And I can understand some of the apprehensions that we've had previously. This was more to the concept of why we need to look to grow devices, how we would use them instructionally. Then the next piece is if this is the direction we're gonna head, absolutely. I want my teachers to have stuff and have some training in front of them, and ideally for the summer so that they can work and develop some of that stuff. And how we phase it in yet, I know Belvedere, when they phase it in, and I'm not saying this is the only way, they took teachers that volunteered for kind of the pilot program, and they had the teachers have it over the summer, and then they had students have it for the year. And then you kind of branched it out from there. I didn't put a plan to say, this is what I would do to 2019, 2020, because I haven't heard the board say to me, yeah, we're ready to go down that road.
And that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
It says here, year one, I mean, it's almost like we're going to take a vote on $100,000 before the end of the year. That's
No.
why I was asking the question.
Yeah, no, and I'm not looking for a vote at all. I'm looking at the concept of, and to me, I see the benefit of, and as I was talking to Joe earlier, not that this is a magic bullet that cures everything. This is a tool. It's a tool for the classroom. Our teacher is still the most important person and part of this piece. Therefore, you need the professional development. That's got to be a huge link in there too. What does that look like? I'm not sure. I'm not to that detailed point yet that says, here's the professional development I'm ready to put in there. We've got to figure out, one, what are we going to do for phasing? How are you going to time it? Then, what do I need for professional development for those teachers? Because I want the teachers to hit the ground running then with the kids. And that's got to be phased in time. And it, like anything, I don't want to just throw a bunch of devices at them and have them sitting and we're not using them. I want to phase it in and take our time and do it right. So I guess I was not looking at what are we directly doing to make this happen. I was looking more at the board. Does the board say this is a concept that, because it's an investment. Is the board open to the idea of looking to move forward with this type of idea?
I think that
This isn't new for our teachers at all. I mean, they've been playing around with this stuff for, 4 years now. And so the big trainings would be
I don't want to hear that people have been playing with stuff. This is not a game. If we're going to make this kind of investment
yeah.
on the academic side, to use this as a tool to drive us forward, this is not a game. They're not playing with this stuff. We're going to get them immersed in it. Everybody's going to buy in, and we're going to move the whole thing forward all at one time. I just take exception with the idea that it's a game. This is not a want. I see it as a tool to help us get where we want to go as a board, and I want us to be all in.
Certainly.
I think one of the other things that we really need to look hard at, I mentioned it at the presentation that Mary and Molly were at the conference, is I think we should also take a hard look at bring your own. Every kid's got a cell phone, grade 5 and up. Should we be the one making the investment in this, or should we invest in a program or a system where the kids are bringing their own stuff? I don't know the answer to that. I don't have the answer, but I think it needs to be more planned.
We could bring back information on the bring your own, because that also brings a different set of hurdles with it too.
I think the rules are the same. The devices would still have to be locked down the same.
You're watching network stuff too, so we've had some conversations that brings another set of hurdles, but they're worth discussing.
Just to kind of clarify, I think curriculum and the technology, the tool itself, develop concurrently. Curriculum will still be developing, but the tool using the technology in the classroom, they can develop concurrently. It doesn't necessarily need to be one after the other. I know a lot of resources that we'll look at really need that technology piece to be available to really get the most out of a curricular purchase. But they both, I don't see it as, but I'm not writing the check either, but as one or the other. They definitely both support each other concurrently at the same time.
It would be a fair statement to say that technology supports a very well-defined curriculum, correct?
Yes.
That's what I'm at.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten there yet.
And even a
And
not well-defined.
Technology won't fix a broken curriculum.
But it can support the things that you have going and actually even enhance what you have, even without some of, because we're going to be slow to purchasing some, and slow to developing some of the other resources and some of the things in different particular areas. It can definitely enhance those areas. I know for a while, like middle school social studies, they don't really have anything kind of adopted, but that piece of technology has really enhanced what they've been able to do while we're waiting for the cycle to come around.
Mike, have there been, I'm on the technology committee at the college, and one of the things we've really struggled with at the college is anybody and everybody can have this technology and they can utilize it in their classroom. And I jumped on board and I'm using it quite a bit. And when I talk with our equivalent of Jerry, he tells me, hey, good job on how much you're using it. And I went, well, isn't everybody, sort of using it in this baseline? And he said, no. There's so many people who don't use it. Have those been factored into our plan also? Like I would imagine there are teachers who would say, I get what I could use it for, but my learning curve will be so steep and I'm worried about this problem and I just don't want to use it. Are we ready for some people, or are you going to kind of say to your faculty, listen, we should
you're
move
going to
in this
have,
direction?
no, I think you're going to have 3 different levels. You're going to have some that'll say, absolutely, I can't wait to move forward with it. Some that'll say, I'll use it some, and you'll have some that say, I don't. I'm not comfortable, and I'm not there yet. Or you might even, let me put a 4th group. No, thank you. But
How does that one work with one-to-one?
So-
it's like in a package or in a pouch during that class?
I think sometimes what you do is you bring it along in waves and phases, because you're going to start out with you're going to start out with a few that love it and like it. And when we've done some other things in technology in our buildings, other people see how that generates and goes along, and then they say, I want it too. And then you'll have some that'll that you're going to bring along more slowly. It's comfort levels, but I think when they see some of the great things that it does or the good things that it does, like I said, this isn't a magic bullet, it's a tool. But it's a tool I want staff to have moving forward. Yes.
And that comes to that PD piece, because I see this live and in action every day at the middle school. So we just implemented 2 curriculums, math and science, that are technology based. And there are teachers that were scared to death of it. And once they had it, some of our best PD is not spending $400 on a seminar. It's the person that's showing a wall. We've done that often with some of our county finance people. We're showing those strategies. I'm going to say Kate Doran. She does phenomenal things in her science class, and I know she's taken those tools out to kind of ease that fear from those teachers behind it. The math, we got Eileen and Kelly Townsend for that. We're in the process now where our math teachers are watching each other in the classroom, looking at those tools and how they're implementing that curriculum, because that technology piece for math is such a huge piece of it. But if you just throw that technology at someone and say, go, for a lot of people it is scary. And that $1,000 computer is a paper if you're not using it effectively. So, like Mike said, there are 4 stages of people at their comfort level. But if you give them that training and you're not just saying go, that does ease that. It truly, truly, truly does. And I can only speak for math because I've really seen that. I've really been deep in that, because that's been one of our struggles in the 2 buildings that I'm in. But just seeing how that MTSS, the supports for differentiation, just to see those different levels. And I have parents now that are asking if they can take the computers home, if they know their kids are going to be gone for a couple days, because they know those online lessons are there. They know those extra assessments or practice is there. I'm not saying we rely on it, but I'm just saying that's a real thing now that's becoming the culture in a lot of these families. And if they're not going to be there, they don't have that internet, or not actually the internet, they don't have that computer base at home. They are asking. And I've worked with Jerry a couple times to see if we can order some more that kids can possibly check out. And that's just an additional expense, and we're not kind of ready for that yet. We've talked about now, we have Saturday school, which is really a Saturday detention. But we have a teacher that's in there monitoring students about possibly opening that up for families that want to come in and get 3 hours of additional support. One, with the teachers, and 2, they have the devices online and offline if they want, at the school level. So, I'm with Ed 1,000% when it comes to, having that plan in place. And I can speak just because that plan has been in place-ish in my world for 3 years, and I've seen the benefits and seen how that's grown. And it's the curriculum behind it that is showing that growth. And that growth is more than just what shows on math test. It's student engagement, it's teacher engagement, it's all those things put together. So that's just.
Are we starting to see, are we collecting any of the results? We've had a few demonstrations on what people are doing. Are we to a point yet where somebody could come in and actually show not just what they're doing, but what the results have been?
As far as with using the technology?
Yeah, any success stories? Our goals were to increase ELA and math skills, and are we seeing any impact even in these small? Maybe if it's just one middle school team, Mrs. Doran, because she uses it so much. And that makes me think, are we going to need also like an institutional research? Does Jerry become institutional research also? Or at the college, we have somebody whose full-time job it is to collect that data and can present to us our pass-fail rate, our student success rate, our class average.
And some of the way that we do our assessments, let me just use math first, and then we'll break it down at the classroom level. With a math assessment, it's tough to determine and pinpoint what exactly is showing growth or showing decline. It could be the use of technology for the previous semester, it could be, but it could also be, our main resource in that room is the teachers. And it could be teachers changing their practices or differentiating. I mean, it's tough to pick out the individual ingredients in that pie, if you will, and pinpoint saying it's definitely because of technology. In the classrooms, and I can say, as seen growth in Schoology that we talked about earlier, is a huge piece. One, it gives the students the instant feedback when she does those assessments. She's not grading those papers and taking a couple days. Her lessons have been modified the following upcoming days due to results of those community assessments. Those assessments could be a formal type of test, if you will, but it's also exercise. They do that often. What are key concepts you got out of it today? What do you need to understand? I'll say Cassie Bowman on that one for social studies. She does that, I would say 3 to 5 days a week. I was just in there for an observation the other day and seeing the students go. So those are those little tools. But for full disclosure, if Cassie Bowman was to take, or Kate Gordon was to take that technology and put it to the side, they could still teach that content with other resources. But it's slower. It might not be as efficient time-wise. And that direct feedback coming back might not be there. And so that falls into the pros and cons of what we want to look at. But when you're looking at pure instructional time and maximizing the use of these new curriculums that we are putting in place, that technology is a huge piece. It's tough to say technology made these scores go up. It really is, because teachers are learning best practices in the teaching world without the technology. Teachers are getting professional development, differentiation, social emotional learning. That we have so many new things that we're doing now that falls under the umbrella of 21st century learning, that it is tough to say, to point your finger at technology and say, technology increased it. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But there's also, teachers are better than themselves would say are. There's just more pieces of the puzzle to say it's the computer that did it.
Any other questions? Comments?
I would think we need to get a little better on the numbers here. We got 400 devices over 4 years that we say is going to cost us $100,000, so that's $250 a device. So we're saying the price is not going to go up over the 4 years, but our actual number we need is 500. So now we're saying we can buy them for $200 a device, and then there's no numbers in here for the devices we currently have going obsolete while we're doing this.
Yeah, just to clarify that, I didn't put a phase in about each year, because each year we come across a couple hurdles. One, if we're looking to do this many number of devices, what can we afford? Because we also got stuff that we got to refresh out, and it depends on the year. So
Yeah, well, we're talking about $1,000 computers for the teachers, and we got an average of $250 that's supposed to hold the price for 4 years. I don't think so.
No, that'll rise, and then, but
Yeah, then that should be in here. We should get a presentation that has inflation calculated into it, and not the hidden costs buried so we can't see them.
The purpose for that one, I was just showing that what we currently do with our placeholder for technology on devices.
Well, then it currently needs to be worked out a little better, so the number is a little more close to representing what it actually is.
Mike, you had said that we aren't voting on this clearly tonight. When does the technology plan, I'm sure you'll be adding more details to it with time.
I was asked to present this tonight. I did. I mean, I was looking for feedback from the board. I'm getting some feedback from the board. I still think that renewing devices and being able to grow some devices is important to our kids for learning and to be functional towards college and career ready when they graduate. That's the type of person we're charged with growing. So I just soliciting feedback right now.
Mary, any thoughts?
No, I'm just trying to take it all in. I mean, I know this is just kind of an informational, this isn't,
It's not a phased-in plan. It's a concept of.
It's a concept of which direction we want to go with this, and then we'll give you some feedback as to how quickly we want to do this, or how.
Is this a concept that the board is on agreement with towards helping towards enhanced curriculum and learning? That's kind of what I was looking for. Is this the same concept that the board is looking at, or is this something they can't live with?
Brian, any thoughts?
Definitely want to give our teachers the tools to do their job effectively. But yeah, we have to be responsible about it too and make sure we have a good plan going forward.
Tom?
I think I'm kind of in Mary's position. A lot of stuff thrown at us. I think I understand what you were trying to get across and doing and things. And
You understand why we're doing this?
yeah,
I mean, this is our kids' futures. This is the way they'll learn for the rest of their lives, and we're not going to provide it for them. I think this is exactly what we should be doing. This is what schools around us are doing, and with a great plan, I feel we can accomplish this.
So we've got the beginnings of the plan. Are you open to people contacting you and
Oh,
maybe
absolutely.
letting you know,
Absolutely.
like, specifically maybe what Ed would like to see in this presentation or factored in? If I shouldn't speak for everybody, but I get the sense that nobody is anti-technology and wants to stop this and prevent this, but I think maybe if it might be fair to say there's a lot of apprehension to spend this much money in
Oh, and I
that
think there
area
should be.
when there are so many other areas, but.
We would never just throw this at the teachers. There's so much planning that will go into this, and training.
The piece that
I
I
mean-
tried to put with this too is that it's a concept that also supports kind of what we just heard through the CEC, where we've got to grow, the MTSS, the enrichment side of things, even some of the features for regular teaching in the classrooms. It helps the core. It's going to help my students that are not in the middle towards the high end, and especially some of my struggling learners. This should support. It's a support piece. It's a support for the teachers and a tool for the teachers to help support what we talked about, needing those tiers.
So just for clarification, I started out my remarks with saying that I thought we were going down a different path. I didn't realize we were going with this, and I wasn't up to speed. I'm totally in support of going down the technology thing. Well,
Awesome.
doing it the right way.
Oh, I agree with
Let's
you
do it the
100%.
right
I
way.
am,
Absolutely.
Because this board, whether it understands it or not, going back and readdressing this to the community is going to be close to closing the school in some parts of this community. It's not going to be an easy decision to make. We're really going to need to have our ducks in a row, because the last prior rollout of this program was very unpopular in the community. And if we're going to do it, we're going to do it 100% all the way in. It's not something to play with. We're going to go into it, we're expecting results. Our staff's going to be ready to do it. And we're going to take it on head on, make a tough decision and get it done. But
Yeah, it was a concept, Ed. It wasn't, we're
Yeah.
ramping this up next year.
I didn't clarify my remarks by asking the question to start with, but I apologize for that.
That's okay.
All right, if there are no further questions, we can move on to new business, January bills.
What did we get $10,000 worth of signs for?
What's that?
What did we get $10,000 worth of signs for?
Probably the classroom,
Is that classroom
every door
signage?
needed to be signed for
Life safety.
life safety, including handicap and braille signage on every door
So it needs to be
in the
a
buildings.
lower.
It was a citation that we had to meet code for life safety, and all of our buildings got cited for it.
According to Jim, there's a lot of doors in this.
So we're picking them off.
There's
Yeah.
2 buildings that haven't been done, so we have the majority of them done. The last 2 are grade schools, I believe, and they're on the docket for this summer.
I just talked to Jim about that the other day, because Manchester's one of them.
I don't know.
It's lower signs, and you
Might have
have
been.
braille on them, wide, bright, so it's very visible. Every door numbered.
There's a lot of them.
And there's a lot of them, even, yeah, including closets.
Yes, every single door.
Yeah. So we just had that discussion this week.
We have a motion to approve the January 2019 bills.
I'll make the motion to approve the bills. I looked over them.
Motion by
Second.
Maxey, second by Moon. Roll call, please, Kelly.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Hazelworth?
Yes.
Mr. Beverly?
Yes.
Mr. Kinzer?
Yes.
Motion passes. That takes us to the farmland rental agreement.
Yes, we put that in your packet. It's our time of year to approve the farmland rental agreements. We are recommending holding our rates again at $215 per acre. Mrs. Guyman did provide you with some background. We did seek a little extra input from it, and we felt that holding our rates steady for our farmers is probably the best thing for them right now. So, looking for the board to approve the rental agreements.
We were going to talk about adding a record-keeping provision to the lease. Is
Could
that
you
right?
explain to me a little more about the record-keeping thing?
So every pass that machines make today, they transmit data, so seating, an application, what day it was put down, what the tank mixes were, what the rates were, what the weather conditions were. So that, I mean, it's standard in farm leases today.
So do
They
we need
have
to
that-
upgrade-
Have that documentation.
Yeah, do we need to update that with our farm lease then and
And
straighten
when
that
they
out?
come through and put down fertilizers so that we know that somebody's just not buying in our farms and they're gonna dump it to the next guy and there's not gonna be anything left there.
So the
The
ag
2 guys that
we
we
do-
have right now, I'm not worried about that with, but just something that's good practice.
Yeah, and if that's something that's kind of come current with the lease, we should probably upgrade our lease then, or update our lease.
Just get a copy of the application, seating, and harvest maps.
Okay. You shared that with me and I didn't quite understand it, so. So probably the motion then needs to be with record keeping,
Okay. We have a mo-
updated to our lease.
Do we have a motion for the farmland rental agreement with updating, as Ed mentioned? Updated record keeping?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mulholland, second by Maxey. Roll call, please, Kelly.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Hazelworth?
Yes.
Mr. Beverly?
Yes.
Mr. Kinzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thanks for that input, Ed. Strategic plan update.
Yeah, I'm just asking the board for permission to move forward with a strategic plan update. What that means is, gosh, 3 years ago already, and it's gone fast, we put together a strategic plan for the district with a committee. They recommend that every 2 years or so that you come back and just kind of review the plan to make sure it still matches needs, wants, and the direction that the district's looking at for the future. What I was looking for, does the board have any objection to me working with Joe to go ahead and put a kind of an update committee, strategic plan committee back together to just review it? been about 2-3 years down the road now, so I want to make sure our goals still fit what our district still wants and needs.
Just talking about a one-day refresher.
Yeah. And I'll work with like the facilitator, Linnell, that did it before. Sometimes they say it's only a half a day type of thing, so I'd look to do something in probably March, really early April, before everybody starts getting too busy in this thing. But yet enough time for them to plan and be able to make that day available. So I don't know that I need a motion on it, I just want to know if there's anybody that objects to it.
I think it's a good idea.
All right, then we'll work together
Yep,
on a
I'll work with you.
strategic plan day.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, our next agenda item under new business is item D, approval of architect design services for the Manchester roof.
And Tom alluded to it early at our facilities meeting, committee recommended moving forward with having the architect prepare bid documents for the Manchester roof repair. It's something that we know and has been scheduled and needed for a while, so looking for permission for the board to move forward with that.
I make a motion that we move forward with the documents for Manchester roof replacement.
Second.
Motion by
So-
Maxey and a second by Moon.
Is this work that's already been done, that we've already paid for?
Not that I'm aware of, no. We've had other
We had
roof
had it-
stuff done.
We'd had discussions about redoing, well, perhaps changing architects when we got all of the work done that was previously paid for. Is that on the back burner again?
So I brought it up once, I want to say was it at a facilities meeting, and I think I brought it up even at a meeting, and I haven't had formal direction because you'd have to go out for RFP if you're looking for a new architect. If that's what the board wants to do, then we can make that an agenda item. And I have not had the formal direction sent to me back to do that yet. I do have the paperwork still sitting on my desk for what to do.
As stated, we're not necessarily going with any architect in particular, are we?
We'd use Greg Stoller, he's done a lot of our work and is ready, prepared to do it. He's our architect. And
So we
let the
aren't going
board-
to collect bids, we already have a bid.
No, he's going to draw up the designs to go out for bid.
Ed, do you have any?
I don't have any objections, I just thought we were heading down another path.
Yeah. How many projects do we have going with them so far?
We'll only have 2 this year. It'll be this and then the sewer one next. And, yeah, we just haven't had much. We've had smaller projects so far.
I would say that would be a good discussion to have when we hire Jim's replacement. If we want to source a new architect or we're comfortable with who we have. We got 2 projects left with our current facilities manager. To make sure they get done before he leaves, I would feel more comfortable staying with who we got for these last 2.
I'm not suggesting that we change, I just thought we were gonna have that discussion.
I thought we did, but I thought I brought it up at a meeting and I'd have to go back and check minutes. And it's something similar came, but if you want, let me look that up and I'll see if I can get something back to you guys about minutes on when we discussed it.
When you say formal direction, what would that entail?
Usually it's something that the board takes a nomination on, votes, and gives me direction to go out for RFP, request
Do
for
we have-
proposals.
Do they present to us? Do we have them come here and present?
Like I said, I got the process on my desk, but it's a board action.
Okay. Ed, does it seem reasonable to wait till?
I'm not objecting, it's just a discussion item. Motion was made, second, and
Do you have something, Tom?
I thought that I kind of backed off of that when the issue was raised that we had already paid Cashman to do work. Why would we pay another architect to do it until we support it? I just assumed when we got done with that we were gonna have a chance to look at this again.
Okay. Then after the
I'm
sewer.
not objecting to what we're doing here.
Okay.
I do agree with Tom that perhaps when we hire Jim's replacement would be a good time to look at new architects too.
Is that the sort of thing a facilities person will have a strong leaning towards and perhaps want us to work with, or
Maybe?
is that how that works?
Well,
Okay.
they should or they shouldn't, depends on how you look at it, but it'd be nice to see who we hire and what his capacity is gonna be,
Okay.
and then make a decision at that point, is what I'm feeling.
Do we make that sort of placeholder that far out to discuss that September? This coming September?
We can make a note.
All right. Any further discussion? We have a motion by Maxey and a second by Moon. If there's no further discussion, roll call, please, Kelly.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Hazelworth?
Yes.
Mr. Haverly?
Yes.
Mr. Kinzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item is approval of the architect design plans for the sewer lines.
Yes, this was exact same thing, giving the direction for our architect to, one, to investigate, and then to draw plans for going out to a bid proposal for that. This was discovered this summer when they were redoing the sewer lines in Poplar Grove, that we have 2 sewer lines that are about ready to collapse because they're very old. So looking for approval from the board to do that.
All right. Do we have a motion and a second?
I make a motion to approve the architect design for services for Poplar Grove sewer lines.
Thank you, Tom. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Moon, a second by Maxey. Any discussion?
How far out were the sewer lines? Were they in the street that they're having a problem, or?
I think it's where they connect and lock into them at the street.
It's basically from the building to the street. They put it in the 50s, and the pipe they use then is basically collapsing and causing trouble, so we're gonna get
Pretty much
cameras
under the
down them and
parking
see
lot.
what we're dealing with.
Yeah,
See
and
how
that-
much of it is old, how much of it is new, and then the architect's gonna make a recommendation, and at that time we'll decide whether we can put it out for bid.
And you hit it, Brian, it's right under the parking lot, so you'd have to dig all of your parking lot up.
I think that'd be at the middle school.
If we're lucky, yeah. Be so lucky.
All right, we have a motion by Moon and a second by Maxey. Roll call, please, Kelly.
Mr. Hazelworth?
Yes.
Mr. Haverly?
Yes.
Mr. Kinzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Motion passes. That brings us to executive session.
One more thing, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Before Jim leaves, is there gonna be a plan put in place to get the high school wired to the generator the way it's supposed to be?
We can get that done. Take a look at it.
When we talked to World Architects at the conference, they were stunned that high school can't stand on its own in the event of a natural disaster, that it can't maintain the fire suppression system, heat, water, and HVAC.
I'll work with Jim.
That we would be in a position where we'd have to dismiss kids because the high school can't stay up there. That was the whole purpose of putting a generator there, was to have a facility within the community that could handle a man-made or natural disaster.
Yeah, I knew that that's what it was, and I knew we were under, but, you know, that, it's on our tenure, it just hadn't gotten to the top, but I can go back and talk to Jim and see what kind of cost. And I don't, well, I better not, I don't want to speak without knowing for sure how costly it is.
My suggestion might be to talk to Will, because Matt designed that, and he'd probably be the one that would be able to come in and figure out most quickly what was wrong, what got done wrong, or whether something's been changed to accommodate maybe the system that was put in the penthouse.
Okay.
That wasn't part of the major original design.
Do we have a motion to go to executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity, as well as collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or the representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, as well as the placement of individuals in special education programs and other matters related to individual students. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mary. We have a
Second.
motion by Maxey and a second by Moon. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Kelly.
Mr. Haverly?
Yes.
Mr. Kinzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney? Mr. Hazelworth?
Yes.
we have a motion to return to regular session?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Maxey and a second by Mulholland. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I believe we have, the ayes have it. I believe we have one.
Yes,
Motion
I'll make a
coming up.
motion that we approve up to 20 sick bank days for Diane Bull, contributed from any bus driver for the remainder of the 2018-19 school year.
Second.
Motion by Maxey and a second by Mulholland. Roll call, please, Scott.
Mr. Kinzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Mr. Mulholland?
Yes.
Mr. Hazelworth?
Yes.
Mr. Hatterly?
Yes. Motion passes. And that is everything. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, folks. Have a good evening.